Well, welcome back to the Unlearning Curve. I'm Stuart Deloney, joined here with the Forehand twins, Carl and JD. This is the Unlearning Curve, where we talk about different things like mental health, grifters, and anything else that's on the tops of our heads. If you want to reach out to us, you can always get us at theunlearningcurvepodcast at gmail.com. And Carl, I'm going to turn it over to you, my friend.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about freedom of the press and Stephen Colbert and the stuff that went on. But I can't without mentioning that our president did a bunch of things at the FIFA. And that's, to us, that's the soccer championship, right?
FIFA, yep.
Yeah, FIFA. So it was in New Jersey, so Trump had to intrude on it. And he gets booed from the stands during the national anthem or whatever they were playing. And he kind of accidentally steals a medal off the stand. And when you dig into it, there's all kinds of different accounts. The guy handed it to him. Maybe he was just telling him to look at it, but he sticks it in his pocket. One of the medals is for the players. And obviously they had extras, but also the trophy, the commissioner or whatever it was, had him keep the trophy at the White House. They meant to give him a fake one, but accidentally gave him a real one. So then, they knew what it would become. So they just said, just keep the damn thing and we'll make a new one for the players. But the real baby part of the whole thing was just, he was supposed to, present, be there for the presentation and then walk off with the commissioner, the main guy. And he didn't leave. He just stayed on stage and kept getting involved in everything. And they're literally almost kind of pushing him to the back. And there's some pictures where he's way in the back and some where he's right up front. And, the cropping and stuff was a hoax. But it's just real, I had to get that out of my system because it's so weird to me. I could see myself doing that when I was 8 years old or maybe junior high.
That's his mental capacity, roughly. So
yeah.
But
and it's hard to tell because is this like the dementia a bit? Like old man is on the stage and doesn't know to leave? Or is this like he sees something gold and needs to touch it, whether it's real gold or spray painted gold? Like, I must have this.
It's like the reverse of King Midas.
Yeah.
It's just
he turns everything to shit he
gold.
touches.
Yeah. Everything that is gold he touches and turns to shit. I think that's it's completely insane, but it's also on brand. He consistently wins golf tournaments at his golf clubs, and so he gets those there. Well, that's as I feel like him winning a golf tournament, like in Mar-a-Lago or wherever it else, is about the same as him thinking he did something in the FIFA championship. I feel like it's he's used to his participation trophies. I also, which is the big irony, because all the conservatives talk against that. Everyone gets a participation trophy. It's like this is the presidency of like participation trophies. Like everyone's just getting handouts if you're like a rich old white waspy man. But what I was gonna say is, if he was like a real like proud American president, he wouldn't have gone to the thing because soccer's a fucking stupid sport. Go play football like a man. Okay,
that's true.
I actually heard a preacher saying that a few days ago.
They're
it kind of came to life.
What, that football is a man's sport and soccer isn't?
Yeah, football. And don't be playing that sissy sport. Yeah.
And I'm sure that was probably like a Southern Baptist pastor
playing soccer for 5 seconds.
But can you imagine like some pastor even having the gall to say that? Because I'm picturing in my head like some Southern Baptist, big old round guy that is just calling this a game for sissies and it's not a man's sport. And you're like, dude, you can't even run 20 yards without breaking a sweat.
Yeah, and you could be the ball. You're so goddamn round.
I don't know, but maybe not. Maybe he was very athletic, Carl, and I'm just judging based upon really nothing at all.
Yeah. But the story we wanted to focus on was the conflict between Stephen Colbert, CBS, Paramount, whatever you want to call that organization, and freedom of the press. Somehow kind of get all that together here, but Trump sued CBS Paramount because Face the Nation used a different part of Kamala Harris's answer to a 60 Minutes question. I believe I got that exactly right. So Trump sued them for millions at first, and then it's moved into billions, and kind of came to a head when Stephen Colbert spoke out about his company. And in just a few days after he made this statement, his show was canceled starting next year. So he's got less than a year now.
Doesn't the right hate being canceled? Aren't they anti-canceling things?
Yeah, but that's about all he preaches. But we have that clip of what Colbert said. Can you play that?
Now, unlike the payoffs from ABC and Twitter, Paramount settlement did not include an apology. Instead, that's good. Instead, the corporation released a statement where they said, "You may take our money, but you will never take our dignity. You may, however, purchase our dignity for the low, low price of $16 million. We need the cash." Now,
yeah. So the 60 Minutes producer, Bill Owens, quit over this. And as of now, they've paid out about $16 million to cover legal fees, and they're suggesting donating it and so on, not that it wouldn't profit Trump. But your comments, first of all, on that before I go on.
I mean, this is capitalism at its best and most disgusting. I mean, I feel like we shouldn't be surprised about where we're at with this. Our corporate overlords who don't care about people and even like late night institutions. They don't really care about that as well too, because I know they're trying to say that this is about financials, which, I guess having a merger is a financial thing as well. But at the same time, he's number one in the ratings for late night. So I mean, it's a big head scratcher if it's anything other than a bribe.
Yeah, and maybe they need to do some reorganization, some reworking of those situations where they don't spend all their money on fancy stuff. And anyway, whatever.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't let all these giant corporations create these massive monopolies all the time, and then we wouldn't have to kowtow to fucking wannabe fascist dictators. But just a thought. But I was also going to say, you mentioned the Kamala Harris thing that Trump sued over earlier. The interesting thing now is, like, if anyone had guts, they would sue him back, because he also, Kamala should sue him. I don't know. I kind of think she's a coward, but she should be suing him because he had an edited interview as well, where he was talking about when he gets elected that he's going to release the Epstein files. And then they cut out a big chunk where he goes, "Well, I don't know about the Epstein files as much because I don't want to hurt anybody. A lot of people are named on the list, and I don't know. They're probably not actually there." And like, it's ridiculous. I don't know if you've seen the clip, but it's insane. He just like totally backtracked. And you have all these people like Alex Jones and all these right-wing grifters that's like are still supporting him. Some of them are falling off, but most of them are falling in line. And it's just like, oh yeah, save the children. Where we go on, we go all these bullshit slogans, but it doesn't mean anything because it's just our team versus their team. There's no, they don't believe in anything. Most of these people believe in absolutely nothing. And it's, I don't know. It is a little bit of a let them fight moment for me though.
Yeah. I'm enjoying.
Please destroy each other.
I just hope at least. I want some carnage. I want some more carnage from this as well to happen. And I my hope that they will eventually, or even part of them, like even some half of MAGA will like rip apart and create chaos. I don't think that will happen. I think they will eventually fall in line because all of this stuff would totally break a lot of their worldviews for like the true believers. In that, like that believe in Epstein and elite cabals of sex traffickers doing all this kind of stuff. I mean, if their Lord and Savior, Orange Jesus, was in the middle of it, that would like break them. And so there's just all this like, cognitive dissonance happening all the time. So we're like, I don't see that.
I want to see it. Yeah.
I'm just hoping at least Musk gets deported. That would be
Gotta
something.
have goals. Gotta have things you're shooting for.
Yeah.
So the freedom of press is a fundamental right enshrined in the First Amendment. I think we understand. I think listeners would understand that the good countries have freedom of the press. When our world's good, it's when there's open and a free press, but it's not absolute. The First Amendment protects the press. It does not mean there's no restrictions on what can be published. The Supreme Court has recognized that certain types of speech, like incitement to violence, obscenity, defamation, can be restricted. but no special rights. The freedom of the press clause does not grant the media any special rights or privileges beyond those afforded by individuals in general. Press does not have a constitutional right to compel the government to furnish information or grant it or granting access to individuals. There we go. And social media has totally different rules. Section 230, if you're interested, of the Communications and Decency Act. So
are we breaking 230 if we say things like fuck or that Trump is an asshole on here? Are we freedom of First Amendment?
We'll see.
Social media platforms are not considered traditional publishers and are typically regulated under that, what I mentioned, not the First Amendment. A lot more freedom to just say, this is my opinion, he's stupid, and move on, right?
There's been a lot of talk about repealing Section 230. There's also, by the way, talking about the media, they just cut, I believe, $1 billion to public media, NPR, specifically.
NPR, radio, and a bunch of other stuff too.
Yeah, we're going to go through some of that.
Great.
Someone took the time, and several people, I think, have of figuring out in that 100-day, his first 100 days, how many times did he go after the media or do something that's negative towards free press? So he says, Donald Trump, and this is from Reporters Without Borders. It's got a weird acronym with it because it's really Reporters Sans
Frontière or something like that, because it's French,
Yeah. So it means Reporters Without Borders. So as we approach the 100-day mark in the second presidency, he continues to carry out threats he made on the campaign trail against the news media by intensifying his monumental assault on press freedom. In both his personal and official capacities, he's attacking the credibility, independence, sustainability of the news media in the United States and around the world. RSF, Reporters Without Borders, lays out 10 key numbers from his first day. 427 million is a number. Weekly worldwide audience of USAGM, news outlet silenced by Trump. In an effort to eliminate the U.S. Agency for Global Media, that's USAGM, cutting grants to their outlets funded by the federal agency and placing their reporters on leave. The government has left millions around the world without vital sources of reliable information. This leaves room for authoritative regimes like Russia and China to spread the propaganda unchecked. However, RSF recently secured an injunction against the administration's dismantling of the USAGM-funded broadcasting for Voice of America. It's one of the big parts of that, but also for Radio Free Asia and Middle East broadcasting networks. This is all new to me. JD may be able to help with that.
I was going to say they're honestly, NPR I think is obviously gives an interesting voice to news. To be honest, I read a lot of, especially Radio Free Asia and Voice of America for parts of my job. But honestly, conservatives and anyone who wants America to have a large presence in the world should be really pissed off because a lot of it's propaganda, American propaganda, how great America is that we send over. And then it's also a lot of communism is bad, socialism is bad, these kind of things, which are a whole debates in themselves. But if you want America to be a great global force and not like a backwards nation that doesn't have any influence around the world, you should be pretty pissed off about this.
Yeah.
Now, JD, you said you pay attention to this stuff. Has the tone shifted in it since Trump's been back in?
There has been a little bit. To be honest, because it's summer vacation right now, I haven't been reading as much. But I listen more to DW, not to give anyone free shout outs, but I listen to other stuff right now. I'm paying a lot less attention to American media because it's not good right now. Everyone kind of has lost their minds about Trump and doesn't really know what to do. So yeah, I've been paying less attention, but from what I've seen, the tone has shifted to some degree. I mean, it's obviously no one really, especially in those kind of like government news agencies, they don't really want to be that critical of Trump because, I mean, as we're seeing, right, what we've been talking about this whole time, it oftentimes is you get doged or, you get your funding cut.
So some of the things they did: significant restructuring staff, reduced most of its staff and functions, executive order to eliminate USAGM in March. By July, 85% of the staff was laid off. Includes Voice of America and Office of Cuba Broadcasting. The senior advisor for USAGM is Carrie Lake. That's funny to me.
Yeah. Especially someone being involved in like I mean, she's very good at like propaganda, I guess I would call it, or just strictly just lying about things. But she does know how to stay on message and like be all frosted with her general like filters that she has. If anyone's ever seen her on camera and stuff,
it's appropriate that she's supervising something that's going down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She goes down a lot.
That's Bobert in the theater.
Sorry, I get confused.
Yeah.
Laughing.
That caught me by surprise.
Yes, sorry. The 8,000 plus U.S. government web pages taken down.
Mm-hmm.
I think most of that was DEI. Anything that looked or smelled like equality or inclusion was taken off of websites.
Well, you know how they're doing it too. Is a lot of it's being done by AI, so it's not actually anything like that. They were basically taking down anything with like certain words in it, like, and it sometimes was taken out of context. So I read about some recent examples. But I can't think of them off my head. But yeah, they would take, for instance, like if a page said black, it would be like taken down, even if it was talking about like the color or something, not about black people. I mean, it's just exactly how you would expect people who put someone like Elon Musk to handle these kind of things, where it's just like, oh, we're using AI, but in the dumbest ass way possible. It's just makes my brain hurt.
Yeah. It's not even a thoughtful consideration that, because they do it in 4 or 5 days, that they haven't thought it through. Mm-hmm. However, someone might have been pushing this all along and already had the things written up and then just handed it to him, and he's too dumb to know.
We'll talk about that when we talk about our religious zealot later. We'll talk about doing how certain organizations write up things, and then these dumb like government pencil pushers just put their stamp on it, and that's it. They don't even look at the fucking legislation. It drives me crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So 3,500 is the number of journalists and media workers risk of losing their job, mainly with the USAGM. Or we could talk about USAID. We could talk about all the other things like that he's trying to destroy. But
it's just silencing dissenting voices. I think that's just he just wants to be just a little baby bitch king, that he is just ruling and no one can say anything otherwise. He controls the truth. He controls everything that happens. And I mean, this is like his absolute dream that he's living now, especially when you can lie about anything and your supporters will believe it. And also anyone that speaks out, goodbye.
But if we did listen to him and follow him and only believe what he said, we'd still be tremendously confused. And you see that in his supporters when they interview him and say, what do you like about what he's done? Well, he's tough, or he's mean, he's a good businessman. Well, what did he do? Well, we don't know, because he, can't talk even, right? And anyway, I don't know.
It doesn't matter. It's all... Politics has come down to nothing but, like, especially for the Republicans, it's just owning the libs. And for the liberal side of things, honestly, I don't think they're that much better. They're just about getting stings on Donald Trump. Oh, Cory Booker stood up and gave a speech for a long time. Well, they still passed the bill, and you guys didn't really fight that hard, and then you took celebratory pictures afterwards. Did you guys accomplish anything? Like, do you really see that broken up about it? Not really.
Yeah.
Like, you still have like the radicals in the quote unquote left wing party voting to give more weapons to do a fucking genocide in Palestine. Like, come on, people. Like, it shouldn't be this stupid, but we really do live in a terrible timeline.
Yeah. So 180 are the public radio stations at risk of closing if the media funds are eliminated. And when we talk about public broadcasting and what the United States spends on it, I think you'd be surprised. We later on in this, I think it might mention the amount, but it's just $1 or $2 per person. I mean, it's not a big part of our budget or anything like. It's nothing like military and other things we spend a ton of money on. But public radio stations are at risk of closing. We're trying to remove $1.1 billion from that budget. Supports NPR and PBS. People got to be having some cognitive dissonance about that. It's Sesame Street. But then we always say,
it's
we're
learning.
wasting money
Sesame
on
Street's
that.
learning. It's
It's
reading.
woke.
It's math. Yeah,
we
it's
don't
like,
want
why
the
are we
woke.
talking about all of
Mr.
this stuff?
Rogers was too woke.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
No, but this is going to be devastating for rural communities also that had like small radio stations that was like their outlet to the broad side of the world for bringing stuff into small communities. And this is going to be devastating on their way to be able to consume news, because they're just going to it's going to be more internet based trash. That's going to be their news source for a lot of
It's
this.
okay.
It's huge.
China will radicalize all of them through TikTok. It's fine.
Yeah.
We'll just have a whole audience of young people captured by a foreign adversarial government. That won't be a problem. Don't worry.
Yeah. So 74 days, the Associated Press has been banned from, this is at the time of the 100 days, so back in April or so. 74 days, the Associated Press has been banned from the White House because they won't say Gulf of America, and they still said Gulf of Mexico. That's
Political correctness, by the way. That's
Yeah.
what political correctness means, by
Snowflakes.
the way. If you
Yeah.
know what political correctness actually means, it means doing what the government tells you to say. And if you don't, then you're being politically incorrect. So just to educate people.
Another thing.
Also, by the way, political correctness, if people don't know, is like a really big thing in China. Not to keep harping on China, but I have friends there right now, and that's literally something they say, like, "Oh wow, you're so politically correct," meaning like you follow the government line on everything. Like, good job. It's like legitimately what they say. So, yeah.
So number 13 is I agree with you. 13, the number of individuals pardoned by President Trump for charges of attacking journalists. He pardoned over a dozen individuals charged with convicted of violent crimes against journalists at the U.S. Capitol during January 6th. Violence against the press was pardoned. So that must be, that tells his followers it's okay. We need to vehemently persecute these people who are trying to tell the truth about me, because we don't want people to know the truth. 6, FCC inquiries into media companies, and the author of the Project 2025 playbook and chair of the FCC has wasted no time launching particularly motivated investigations, explicit threats against media organizations. This includes CBS, ABC, NBC, Disney, NPR, PBS, and California television station KCBS, so one local. But it's an all-out assault. Trump's personal lawsuits against media organizations is at 4. So he's personally suing 4 of them. And then what I said before, $1.60 is the average amount each American pays for public media. Donald Trump has threatened to eliminate federal funding for public broadcasting, framing the move as a cost-cutting measure. However, public media only costs each American $1.60 a year. Right?
Wow.
Yep.
It's a lot of money. $1.60, I don't know.
Well, it just amazes me also just how they've kind of gone through government to cut all these incremental things, these small things that I don't even know like why they're focusing on that.
Yeah.
But it's really just about tax cuts for the rich is what it has to get back to. Whereas you could just like, hey, let's trim the military budget just a bit, even just a small amount. And, I feel like you would have gotten exactly the same amount of savings from them axing all of these programs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such an insignificant percentage of the budget. It's a joke. But I mean, most people have like no idea what any of the numbers are. So they just hear, you just throw out the big number and then it's like, oh, wow, that's so much. And it's like, yeah, again, it's probably less than a percent of the entire budget. The other thing is like, I don't know. I mean, I don't think we should run like the biggest deficit in the world, but I also think that sometimes, losing a little bit of money on some stuff is fine. And again, if you wanted to really make some of the money back, tax the corporations and the rich people.
Yep.
You'd have it back in a second. But again, that would ruin the point, because the point is to give tax cuts to the rich and increase taxes on poor people, working people.
Yeah, indeed. We have JD and I have a local example. Josh, the pastor, it's not Calvary Chapel. Grace Calvary Chapel used to be Grace Evangelical Church, and we attended this church back in the day. I think JD might have even been the one that led us to that, right?
Yeah,
It's your
through
fault.
friends, I think. Yeah, it's my
he was
fault. Blame it on
going
me.
to be around his friends, not his fault.
It's okay. I blame that church partially for me becoming an agnostic, so good job.
I don't think
is it blame, or did they hand you
I mean, part of it,
out?
I should say thank you.
Yeah,
They would probably be sad about that, though.
Yeah, the clip
Thanks for
is
being
going
so shitty. It made me not believe in God anymore.
It's a very proud church. They get a lot of donations from Herzog Corporation. One of their missions is to try to shut down public schools, the funding for public schools, so they can run for-profit Christian schools.
Mm-hmm.
The former pastor, Daryl Jones, is now he's running the Herzog Foundation, which has those goals that they think public schools are horrible, so they're going to defund them so that they can make money off of it, basically, and teach each other their own brand of spirituality that will solve all the problems of the world, right? And they were also, another background, the ones that spoke out against Brian Kirk, who was a gay pastor in their town that served on the library board, didn't make any decisions about books, but he just was on that board and loved it, and they got him off of it just because he's gay. And Josh, the pastor, wouldn't go even meet with this guy, with Brian Kirk, and refused to even talk to him, just got his minions to get busy behind the scenes, and there's emails to prove that and everything, that they got him out. So can we play that clip so that you know what's going on now?
Breaking news from St. Joseph, Missouri. A local church, Grace Calvary, has openly violated tax-exempt expectations when it comes to nonpartisan participation in politics. As you can see in the clip I'm about to show you, Pastor Blevins openly endorses at least one, if not two, candidates, which is a direct violation of expectations for tax-exempt organizations, and he openly admits that he knows he's doing wrong.
And encourage our sister Kim Miller, who is running, she goes to church here, and encourage you. And I already know some people are like, well, Josh, you know, the IRS says you can't tell us who to vote for. Listen, the government should have no type of leash that is strong enough to hinder the church from doing what is right. That's period. And so we want to encourage you to vote for Kim Miller. I will be voting as well for Jennifer Kearns, just because there are 2 seats open, and those are the 2 candidates I believe will uphold the strongest and focus on the strongest things that need to be focused on the school board, and hopefully be a bulwark of protection against some of the ideologies that are coming into our students' education.
As you could have seen in that clip, it's incredibly interesting to see the audacity that this man preaches with. But there is a long history with this church of abusive practices, specifically when it comes to targeting local gay pastor Brian Kirk, who also happened to run for school board in this very same race. Now, I have included a screenshot of my pre-filled 13909. You can find a link to that in my link tree. I'm asking anybody that has the time to please fill one of these out. I do want to note you can submit this anonymously if you are afraid that doing so may potentially cause retaliation or any safety concerns for you, but I encourage as many people as possible that do feel secure and safe doing so to submit this with their information so that we can continue to hear back from the IRS and to submit as much information as possible regarding the practices of this church. When churches involve themselves in politics in this way, it's genuinely pretty concerning. Direct endorsements, not okay when it comes to IRS tax-exempt organizations, so I would encourage you to file a 13909 complaint and have this investigated by the IRS.
I will note, I do think that they've rescinded. I think the IRS isn't going after folks anymore.
Yeah, it's true. It is true.
I mean, they're cutting the funding massively to the IRS as well, which is exactly the opposite of what they should be doing. But I mean, who's surprised, honestly? And
yeah, which will mean they also collect less taxes. So, like, having less folks working at the IRS means less money that the government gets in. So, the math that they're trying to save stuff doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's because it's not, again, it's not about saving anything. It's about wasting all these revenues. One thing I thought that was interesting at the beginning that he said is the government should have no power to like control what churches say. And there's obviously some caveats to this, but I do agree, but they should just make you pay taxes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you should just have to pay taxes. That's okay. Then you can say whatever you want.
And I was confused because the pastor is endorsing women in leadership.
Yeah.
Is that what we were seeing there? I mean,
no,
what?
Not at that church. No.
Oh, not at the church, but in the city council, they're endorsing people to lead men in this,
okay.
and it's just interesting because like they would never let a woman like lead at church, but if she's going to do it in this other government institution, we're okay with that. So.
As long as she's anti-gay and all that stuff and against public schools, then we should put her on the school board if she's against public school. That doesn't make any sense at all. He's really not trying to help the public school. Was it the school board or the city
I think
council?
it's school board.
Yeah, so school board. So I'm trying to put people on the school board that are against public schools. And so you're not helping it. You're not doing any brainstorming or thinking about how to make things better or how we can improve our schools or what I could do to support you in making our schools better. Maybe we could lobby for some more tax money for our schools so they could afford to do business. And my wife didn't have to buy half of her supplies or beg people to give her those supplies. They would use that money to purchase her supplies that she needs to teach. It's just the same thing. We need a scapegoat, right? Need something to blame everything on. So we'll blame it on this impossible job of being a teacher in the inner city. And instead of giving her or him the resources that they need, we're taking the resources away so they'll fail. So we can have our thing because we're right and God is on our side. And you can't argue with that. Even the government can't tell us what to do. If God tells us, then we're going to do it.
Well, and they keep talking about how, schools, their test results are getting worse or, whatever, like grades are getting worse, whatever. There's more problems in schools, et cetera, et cetera. Well, like part of the reason for that is because they've been cutting funding for schools for so long. Like, of course, when you cut funding for schools, outcomes are worse. Like if you could read the most simple of data, it just makes sense. Like if you fund things, it's the same thing in society at large. Oh, there's like all these homeless people and they're causing problems and blah. Give them fucking money. Like if you give people money, if you give people housing, then that's how you fix these things. Like you don't fix them by doing the thing that makes them worse. Like, drives it crazy.
No, see, that's and the thing that gets me the most is, and I don't have the stats to back this, but I know it to be true. It's one of those moments. But I'm going to guarantee you that especially if we compare like public schools like nationwide to like Christian schools nationwide, I'm going to say that the Christian schools, they have a way higher batting average for molesting kids too. I'm just going to say kids getting stuff happen to them. I'm going to guarantee that it is going to happen way more at these places because
definitely trauma. Yeah.
They're teaching kids to be compliant and stupid is essentially like the goal of a lot of Christian schools. And also, when you're compliant and dumb, I've seen this in a lot of different Christian schools too, where you end up just, there's some dude that's diddling and gets away with it and keeps getting away with it. And maybe it's even a pastor. Usually is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you take away all funding and oversight and cut the number of staff positions that would happen more. It's really, I don't know, Stuart. I think it's a ridiculous idea. It couldn't be true.
Yeah. So when I posted something, usually I'll see it on the news Facebook for St. Joseph, the town that this church is in. When I say something publicly about it, some people agree and so on, but the pushback is, Pastor Josh, and I love his family. He's so nice. I see, he's charming and good looking too, right? He's cute. He's snappy. He's got to come back for things. But then they'll also quote, touch not my anointed ones.
Yeah.
Because
the anointed ones touch you.
Like him. He's pleasurable to listen to. And you should question God's anointed ones, right? We've had people in our personal history do that with other pastors and so on. I think it's a terrible thing to do.
It's a terrible get out of jail free card that folks use in scripture, and it doesn't really even apply to the situation that they're using it in, but they use it to where but God said it, so.
Yeah, we can't question them. Do you really want to be led by someone that you can't question? I mean, in the long run, I don't think so. If I can't disagree with my boss, if I can't have a lively discussion with my pastor, why would you want to be led by someone that won't have a conversation with you? Just says, I'm right and God is on my side and don't question me. You're on shaky ground there, buddy. That's no way to parent or pastor or lead an organization. But if
you don't like thinking, you thrive on certainty. And if people are giving you out, they're shoveling this certainty shit on you constantly, to some degree you get used to it. And you get used to these kind of authoritarian structures. And it feels like home.
It's reassuring too, because then you don't have to think at all. Yeah. By the way, if anyone wants to check Stuart's hypotheses, which I was just doing a second ago, if you just go to Google Scholar and look up sexual assault at religious schools, there's about 476,000 results that come up, and from most of the ones I see here, higher power produces greater problems. How religious honor codes in religious schools exacerbate campus sexual assault. Yeah, there's a lot here. There's a lot. So yeah, if people want documentation, we could easily provide that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of rampant here in South Missouri. We don't live in South Missouri, but in South Missouri, in places these little homes, Lester Roloff's home. I don't know if his is in Missouri, but it's a lot of things like that. I mean, they're closed down now, but there's still kind of remnants of them, and people kind of model after them. It's just, we get the kids in a closed environment, and we can protect them and shelter them and teach them what we want to teach them, and sometimes beat it into them if we need to. It just leads to sexual assault and all kinds of abuse. It's not anything like I think we should be pursuing. Jesus spoke true. I wrote down, Jesus spoke truth to power and religious power. Good sign of a country is free press.
Mm-hmm.
Late night talk show hosts are not necessarily journalists, but I would say things that get persecuted tend to grow stronger. And so, you're going to push back on the press. They know where the bodies are buried, some of them. And they know, I'm exaggerating a little bit there, right? They know.
Well, they might have someone who leaks, if they cut enough of these government institutions and government jobs, there might be someone who gets their hands on the Epstein flight logs and leaks it to a journalist, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I'm not wrong, I think that's already been leaked. A lot of it is blacked out.
The flight logs have been leaked. What I meant, I misspoke, but there might be more information that gets leaked, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's absolutely what happens. People begin to push back if they're aware and if they've been notified of it. Anyway.
I hope so, but it isn't reassuring. This is one thing I want to say earlier is you talked about AP not being allowed into the press pool. I mean, the other, some of the other outlets said that's bad or something like that, but they didn't do anything. They didn't boycott. They weren't like, no.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, I don't know what the answer is, because if you boycott, then they're just going to fill it with more psychotic right-wing voices. But I mean, does it matter anyway in this media environment? You don't have to be there to report on it. You can still get the video. And he's not going to answer your questions anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
So I hope that you're right, but I've seen, unfortunately, a lot of cowardice from a lot of the mainstream media. I've seen a lot of smaller outlets stepping up, but a lot of the mainstream media, I mean, again, they're trying to do these merger deals and stuff. They're the same. They just want money. It's almost like money corrupts you or something.
Yeah, something like that. If I always wanted this, can we go out with this question? This question is, how does someone like Carolyn Levitt live with herself the rest of her life? Whether she lasts a year or 6 months or, they go through them pretty quick. She's consistently lying on a daily basis, or repeating Trump's lies, or justifying what he said, explaining to us what he said, because, after all, he speaks clearly and truthfully, doesn't let anybody hold him back, but then everybody has to explain what he said. to get rid of all the trash that was in it. So how do you live with yourself if you're someone like Carolyn Levitt that you're paid to lie and you're lying? I don't think she's has a 5th grade education. I think she's educated. She knows she's lying. How do you live with yourself?
I think she'll live with herself very fine. I mean, she's in a bizarre situation where I think she's married to someone that's more than double her age. So that kind of also checks out in kind of the MAGA way of doing things. And he's rich. So, I mean, she'll sleep fine at night on a pile of cash because I think she doesn't care. And probably she tells herself she's doing God's work. And
she's also used to going down, right?
I like the reaction from Mom. I would say in some cases, I don't know about her specifically, but I mean, in some cases, some of these people are like just pure psychopaths. Like, and I mean that in like the most clinical sense. Like they don't feel emotions. They don't care. They just want to do what they want to do. And usually that's get money and power. But yeah, like I think I agree with the other thing I was going to say is what Stuart said is that like the money helps a lot. It helps us. It helps you block out the part of your brain that's like, you're a bad person. You can just go, well, Hawaii's pretty fun. It's really nice to take trips around the world. It's really nice not to like have to ride the long metal tube with the other demons. I can take my private jet. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, lack of accountability is empowering for a while, I think.
And again,
I can do what I want. I can be the bad guy, right? I can, that's empowering for a little while, but your conscience has got to catch up with you somewhere.
I don't know if these people have consciences, and I think also you look at our the big beautiful boy, the big beautiful president. You just surround yourself with sycophantic people, and if anyone challenges you, you just cut them out of your life or out of the government in this case. But then you just never hear any pushback. And if you do, then you just tell yourselves the little mantras that you taught yourself over and over again. Oh, when you're right, they persecute you. Jesus was persecuted too. I'm just like Jesus. That must be it. Like you just literally, I think it's like mantras to these people. It's just a way to make yourself feel better. It's a way to like pat yourself on the back. I'm okay. They hate me. They hate me because they hate us because they love our freedom or because, they hate our freedom. Yeah. That kind of.
Yeah. I get you.
This segment has made me so fucking mad.
I'm sorry.
I'm so mad right now.
That's a good thing though, right?
Yeah. It's good. It's unfortunate that I'm so far away and I can't do anything about it. But I mean, I don't know. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. I hope it does make people mad. I hope people do something about it peacefully.
Yeah. Through you guys influence and some of the things you've said already on this podcast, I am literally working on my social media haze, right? And my way of doing things, believe it or not. But part of what keeps me engaged a little bit is this, I got to resist somehow and find my place to resist. I don't want to be a regular citizen in a Hitler type experience that said afterwards what happened. I can see what's happening and I want to stop it somehow, whatever I can do. And maybe it's thinking globally, working locally. Maybe that's probably the answer. But I still want to have my voice and I want to be able to say what I feel.
It's either that or we just need to start our own Christian school and just make a bunch of money and cash in on it too.
Non-religious Christian. Yeah. They'd hate that too. In fact, I think when they try to cooperate with, say, Catholics and say Jewish people and other religious people, they're not going to cooperate very well. No, what we had in mind was a evangelical fundamentalist Christian school. It's very small, do all of our stuff and intimidate them and those kind of things. They're not thinking about everybody that's religious or everybody that believes in God.
A lot of things we just talked about are going to be coming up when we talk about our this month's, I guess, cultist that we talk about later.
Oh my gosh, that's a great teaser, leaving us on a cliffhanger.